The only other time that she had seen a patient that had these problems that I was having, the low fluid and the weird positioning of the baby and kind of its unresponsiveness, she said the only time she had ever seen that was with her other patients who had babies that did have Down syndrome. And so that was a lot to handle. It was not something that we were really expecting. And so we, were just kind of sitting there, didn't really know what to say. I mean, I was just kind of in shock because obviously that's not really something that you plan for. So that was just kind of a big pill to swallow. So basically, we were just left thinking that, we had a baby that was possibly not going to live, and we had a baby that was possibly going to have a mental disability, which was, going to be hard moving forward. Like, just kind of wrapping my brain around it. How am I going to be a parent to a child with a mental disability? I was doing lots of research on, just different things because it was scary. And thankfully, we were told this early on enough to where if that was going to be a problem, we would be able to find tons of resources and be able to prepare ourselves to be the best parents that we could to this little baby. But just kind of getting that news is very hard. That is kind of where we left off. When I left, they did say that they, obviously I had the blood work done. They did say that they wanted to send me to an ultrasound and a high-risk specialist just to have a second set of eyes look at my situation. So I set up an appointment to go see the specialist, and that was going to be the following week. This was a Thursday that this happened, and I set up an appointment for a Tuesday. So there wasn't too long in between when I saw the specialist and when I was at my regular doctor's office. So we just left feeling very crushed, defeated, confused. So fast forward a couple days, I, obviously posted what I posted on Instagram. It's still up if you guys are interested in seeing it. You can see what I said about the situation. I didn't really get into the whole baby having a chromosomal disorder in that little blurb that I wrote on Instagram, just because it was hard for me to kind of swallow, and so it was hard for me to relay to somebody. So basically, from the time I left that doctor's office to the time I saw the specialist, I put myself on bed rest. For whatever reason, my doctor didn't. You would think with a tear in your amniotic sac and just constantly leaking fluid, you would think that they would put you on bed rest, but they didn't. So I did that myself because I just figured that was the best thing to do. Drink a lot of fluids, because if there was a tear, they said that you can kind of boost your fluids back up. I go to they call it a perinatal office, and basically that they just kind of specialize in high-risk pregnancies and then also chromosomal disorder, pregnancies and stuff like that. So I went in there and I just, oh my gosh, I don't know, I was so concerned what they were gonna find. I was just feeling really weird, basically. So I went in there and I was not really expecting too much. Again, since this was just like a 4-day turnaround time, Brock wasn't able to go with me. Thankfully, my mom was able to go, and so I wasn't by myself, especially with all of the craziness going on with this whole thing. So I went in there and they told me basically that they weren't really sure why the doctor even sent me there, in a nutshell. They said, your baby looks fine, your fluid levels look fine. If there was a tear, it's healing up. The baby's measurements are completely normal. The kidneys, the brain, they did extensive research and just kind of looking at the heart. They did extensive research on the umbilical cord and the insertion of the umbilical cord. They did say that the baby was in a weird position, and it's still been measuring small the whole time. The doctor was actually pretty funny. He was just like, you and Brock aren't the biggest people in the world, so it's possible you're just gonna have a petite little baby. And so that kind of made me feel better, because everyone had been telling me that the baby was measuring small, and so that was concerning. He made it sound like it was no big deal, and I don't know, it was just weird. So basically the doctor made it sound like he didn't even know why my doctor sent in. He said the baby looks completely healthy. He said, as far as looking at certain parts on the baby for Down syndrome, the nuchal fold is something that they look at the back of the neck, and basically that's just how the skin lays. He said the nuchal fold is measuring perfectly normal, and they said for babies that are diagnosed with Down syndrome that it's usually inflamed a little bit or just a little bit thicker. And then they said also too, a lot of times on ultrasounds, babies with Down syndrome, they can't really see the nose bone very well in like a side profile shot. So that was good news. He said that if he had to guess, he didn't really think that that was going to be a problem. And so I don't know, it was just really strange. Like, I'm sorry, I'm like getting like, I don't know, it's just so, it was just a really emotional thing for me, because I was thinking, if you want to know why the video is late, this is why. I've been barely able to get through filming this video a couple times now. So basically the whole weekend I was thinking that, you know, there was going to be just a lot of complications and problems with the baby, and you know, I went to the doctor and he just made it sound like everything was fine. He was able to find the gender like that, like no problem. And at that point I just didn't even care what the gender was. I didn't care. I told him, I was like, you can tell me, I would love to know, but the only thing I care about is just having a healthy baby at this point. And he says, I'm gonna be honest with you, your baby looks completely healthy. Like I said, that's really all I have to say as far as that visit goes. I have another appointment on February 18th that I'll be going to kind of check up on that. Fast forward a couple days more, we got the blood results back, and they did extended testing for chromosomal disorders. So they were gonna be able to tell the gender because they were looking at the chromosomes of the baby. And I don't know, I guess they can just do some really awesome things with blood work now that I just wasn't even aware of. They said that my blood work looked good, you know, everything as far as my blood was good, the baby looked good, baby had no chromosomal disorders, and everything was just fine. So basically it was like a whole lot of worry for nothing. So everything is good as far as I know now. Fluid leak is still kind of up in the air. It's a question if it could happen, so I'm still trying to just take it really easy, but I don't know. So this again is kind of why this has taken me so long to film this video, because it's just really hard to talk about, and I have never like cried on camera like this before, and I just feel like a crazy person. But if you've been in a similar situation, I'm sure you completely understand. At this point I was just able to breathe again. I don't know how to explain it, but this has just been kind of a crazy wild ride. After this whole thing, we decided that we did not want to stay with the doctor that we were currently at, because she just basically caused a whole bunch of worry and wasn't explaining things well. The ultrasound tech was terrible, and then there's a whole bunch of other things that go into our reasoning for wanting to switch that I'm not going to get into on, you know, camera, because there's just not really any need to. But we are going to be switching doctors. I'm going to be seeing a new one on the 13th of this month, actually tomorrow. So that is basically it for this update. Again, I'm really sorry that this one took a while. It was just a really emotional, hard time for us, and so it's been just kind of hard for me to be able to get on camera and talk about it, and this is like the best I've done, like only crying like twice. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you again for all of your love and support that you've shown me on my social media, especially those of you who have known about the stuff that we had been going through during this time. I really appreciate it. Tons of you have been praying. I just really appreciate being covered in prayer and love and positive energy. You guys have just been so amazing, and I just like seriously am forever in debt to you guys. I just want to thank you for all of the love and support that you have shown Brock and the baby and I through this very hard time. So this was going to be the worst of it. Everything from here on out is better. That is all I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Love y'all. Bye.